This Sunday? I'm going to a charity animal rights thing at noon, which is actually right down the street. But I will go on Sunday.
Evening Mass is great. We like that one.
5:30 Mass?
Yeah, I've been going to Saturday, too. Saturday, I think it's at 7:30 or 8 or something.
People it's amazing how divisive
or divisive.
The just mention of Catholicism is. Like on Twitter, people are like, yeah, well, that's because all the priests are, and I'm like, no, they're not. And just the same amount of things happen, I think, in the Jewish religion and in the Presbyterian faith and in the it's just the Catholics were blessed with exposure.
And I certainly have fundamental problems with the mainstream Catholic group, but at the same time, that's what I've always known, and it worked for me. And like you said, clearly there's a tremendous upside to the Catholic religion that a lot of people don't see glorified in the media. There's also the horrifying
horrible mistakes have been made.
Yeah, and
by people that have nothing to do with our power.
Anytime you have adults in a place of power over children, creepy things might happen.
So your higher power was, in fact, capital G, capital JC, Christ and God. I was at a meeting in Calgary. The guy said he'd given up so hard, this was like his 15th trip into rehab. I'm probably exaggerating, 5 maybe. And he said,
fuck it first.
You know what? He hadn't even been to rehab. He was doing a research paper.
He just listened to the song.
He said, finally his sponsor said, why are you being so fucking, his words, fucking hard-headed? Just pick something that's greater than you. And he was a farmer, and he picked his tractor. I'm sure you've probably even heard this in other rooms. And he realized, this tractor that I sit in at 6 a.m., feeds my family. It puts the fucking DirecTV on all the TVs in my home. This is my higher power. Yeah. This machine that I sit on that makes food from. And he'd been sober 14 years, praying to his. Praying to his tractor.
Personally, knew a girl that I don't know. I don't keep in touch with her, but she was sober quite some time, and she had a special tree that was her higher power. That was her way of really divorcing herself from herself and seeing something that was bigger and greater than her. And she would go and visit this tree, and it was really, that was her higher power.
George Carlin said he prayed to the sun.
Yeah. The Aztecs did for many years.
George Carlin said, and like God, my prayers when I pray to the sun are still answered at about a 50% clip. So when you go to rehab, you knew the whole time. Did you know it was working?
Yes.
And it's hard.
Well, I mean, I guess and no. I mean, you always question when you're doing something that intense emotionally, you question whether or not it's working completely. But I knew that no matter what, I was going to keep pushing, which I'd never felt before.
Chop wood, carry water.
Yeah.
Just keep chopping wood, brother. The tree will fall. And you knew it was working. And when you got out of rehab, did you go to sober living?
No. But I
would be very unhappy about that.
No, because I was back in my home base. I'm from Pasadena. And I was around I moved back in with my parents. I go to meetings every day. I had a good solid job too, which I kind of subsequently ran. Then my friend hired me to get some extra income. I was a janitor at his prosthetics lab. So I mean, I was just,
It's great.
Yeah, things just kind of unfolded. And then about 8 months later, I got a job at KRock loading boxes, entry level job, and life just kind of.
This always fascinates me about radio personalities. Not like the guys. But how do you go the main Z Morning Zoo? Hey, rape kitten, crawl space, we're with you in the morning. Terry and Lex and Luther, Kaka and Doodoo, here we are. That's right. Friday fart song. You know that Leah Remini is hot. I saw photos of her on TMZ the other night. She's hot stuff. Sorry, that's my Z Morning Zoo.
It's that bad though. I didn't realize.
That's what makes Kevin and Bean so great. That you just sit down and you just talk.
Mm-hmm.
And they still hit their posts and hit all their breaks because if they don't, they'll lose their jobs. But they do it in an environment that makes it fun. How do you go from loading boxes to somebody going, hey, this guy Mike could be funny on the air?
I used to bust chops at the station and do parody songs and prank call Kevin and Bean, all these things. And then finally there was a point where they had an employee at Kevin and Bean. And I used to bug Lightning, who's the producer at the time, and say, I should be on your show.
Jay Lightning Tillis?
Yeah, I should be on your show.
Sheer tyranny of will. There.
I can do character voices. I could do this. And then, and they were like, well, we're not hiring. I mean, I don't believe you, first off. And secondly, we're not hiring. Guy left and would go to KRock New York, WXRK at the time. And they gave me a shot, And I was even at an entry level though with Kevin and Bean, where I was just pulling news clips for Ralph and
for free, probably.
Pretty close to it. My first year at KRock, I made $16,000.
And that's more than the people driving that fucking van around town handing out "come to our party" flyers. Right?
No, it was right on par. I mean, they kind of
Party Squad.
It was. I think it was California minimum wage at the time, and they just you top out with how many hours you can get. You know.
We talked about it a lot in this podcast, mostly about acting, about stand-up comedy, personal stories of my own, and Barry Katz would share stuff about other clients. It's fascinating to me, and I've read your tweets, and you guys have shared with me stories that have happened to you. It's amazing in this life. You know, one of my favorite expressions is, I think it was like Karl Lagerfeld. He says, people, opportunity knocks every day, but no one recognizes it because it's dressed up like hard work.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Like you're a
Karl
guy.
Lagerfeld said that?
I don't, probably not.
It was probably Gandhi.
That reminds me of an old expression I just made up. But you're a guy like, hey, you want to go load boxes at the fucking shipping receiving part back end in the summer of California at a morning radio station. Now, the addict you, the renewed born again, not born again Christian, born again you, would say, I'm not fucking packing boxes. I went to college, but it was dressed as hard work. And one of the things that we hit a lot on by accident and by chance is that when you, in this life, when something great happens to us, it's such a bizarre confluence of events that don't add up to the success that it adds up to.
Right.
The sum is so much greater than the equal of the parts. Mike, I'm going to hire you to fucking do boxes. You're doing drywall. It's blue collar stuff.
Right.
And okay, fine, fuck it. Let him just do a couple prank phone calls. Fuck it. And you do it. And someone else, whether it's Kevin or Bean or Alex, somebody keeps saying, fuck it, let him do it again. Because when you do stand-up comedy for the first time, Buddy Hackett said to me, you use probably 1/10 of 1% of your actual talent. But they said, come back. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
So the fact that this didn't happen until you got sober, I think is really a great, beautiful, I don't know if it's a message, but it's a great part of the story, that you recognizing hard work, being an opportunity, and parlaying it into being on the Kevin and Bean show. You're like a great success story.
Thank you, Jay.
I couldn't be happier for you.
I appreciate it. It's very nice of you.
And I can't wait to do some cardio with you.
Oh, it's going to be on. High-intensity interval training.
You're going to kill me.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something, Les. You'd be good at it because she has, look at those muscles.
Look at those. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but she's also like a self-flagellator. That doesn't mean she masturbates. That means...
I'm feeling Nikki's guns right now. They're amazingly firm.
She's crazy strong.
They're Kelly Ripa guns.
Fuck that. She could fucking take Kelly Ripa out.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm going to...
Much better reach.
Yeah, way better reach. That's what I meant entirely, because we love the Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
How did that go when you guest hosted on that?
It's amazing.
I did it for a week, and then I was like, this would be my job.
Right?
I would retire.
It's an hour of your day.
Yeah.
And they really, a lot of live TV, they pretend is live, but there's so many producers there to nurture you and make sure you can't fail.
It's like being a toddler, how you take a baby and put him in his seat, and then you go, now it's breakfast time, and you go, no, this way, sit here, put this in your mouth, there you go, drink your juice now. Like, that's what it's like when you host these shows.
And if you grew up in live radio, since my entirety of my 20s, I was doing 5 hours of live radio under this awesome boot camp of being under Ralph and Kevin and Bean. And, by virtue of them, that second tier of the Kevin and Bean Mafia of Kimmel and Corolla, and all of them are super supportive of me and helpful and showing me how to make the business work from day one. You get into a situation where it's like live television. You're like, this is so easy. This is, I'll never, it's like Tyler Durden. When he, it's like, Edward Norton's character in Fight Club. The first time he went in a Fight Club, he's like, as soon as you start fighting, the rest of the world gets the volume turned down. As soon as you do real live broadcasting, you have to do your own research, and you're responsible for your own content and all that stuff. And you got to get in there and blab and hit post and do all that. The rest, everything else seems like baby stuff. Reading teleprompters and yeah.
I also watch What Happens Live on Bravo, and I was thrilled. Love Bravo, adore Andy Cohen, love all the housewife shows, and I showed up for this. They treated it pretty laid back, as they do on Regis and Kelly,
right.
where where other live shows like that, they can really fuck with your head and scare the shit out of you. Like, now we're live. Now when we're live,
Yeah.
now you're going to be live. You know, you don't want to fuck this up. We're live. But when I did Watch What Happens live, and it was the same with Regis and Kelly, they go, so you just sit down. Really, we just need you. This is what they told me, Mike. They said, we need you to say, when you say the drinking game, point with your right hand up at the word up in the corner of the screen, not your left, because it'll be, and I go, okay. And they go, you know what? I'll just put an prompter, raise your right hand. And I go, okay. And then they said, we just need to make sure we get out the commercial at 10 minutes. We can't go 10:01. And I go, well, will someone be in my ear telling me the time? They go, no. Someone's iPad has a giant countdown clock on it, and that'll be about 3 feet from your face. I go, won't that be on camera? They go, no, oddly, like the camera's where I am, and you're me, and the person's here. Just, that's that person's job is
to
9
hold
minutes
the countdown
55,
clock.
9 minutes 56, and you go, we'll be right back after this. And it's like 9 minutes 58. And then in your ear, you're wearing an IFB, a piece in your ear where the control room can talk to you. They're like, great job. Like, you just landed this fucking plane in the Hudson River. But meanwhile, everything's in prompter.
And you're a guy who's written 30, 45 minutes of content on your own, came up with this idea, had stories intertwined, pretended like you didn't know what you were talking about when you really did, and then got up on stage in front of, an 8,000 person arena and then nailed it. And they're like patting you on the back for getting the countdown correct,
I think they're just more happy, and I'm giving them all the respect and props. I don't think they didn't think I could do it. I think they were just happy that I was their first ever guest host.
Right.
And the fact that the plane landed, everyone's job was safe, and it's not like now Andy can actually go on vacation. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And when you host Regis and Kelly, everything's in prompter. Like, what am I going to ask Rachel Weisz? Oh, I don't know. I'll read the fucking prompter behind her head that says, I understand you're an excellent jump roper.
The second time I did, and you're exactly right. They have these weird questions. The second time I did Regis and Kelly, David Arquette's a guest, and it was like right in the heels of like his big scandal, and I just totally went off prompter, and I was like, dude, I just want to pat you on the back for being so forthcoming and handling your business in front of the cameras, which is tough to do because I've had to do it behind cameras, and I know how hard that was. And for you to do it in front of the cameras, it must be that much, exponentially. And you've done it with composure and class, and I just want to pat you on the back. And I'm like, and there's that moment, there's that 2 second, not even 2 second, that 1 second break where no one's applauding. Gelman doesn't have a smile on his face, and I'm like, oh man, did I just fuck up the whole show? Did I just really do something bad? And then I was like, "Aw," and I was like, all right.
And then he gets super more comfortable because you said that.
Yeah.
That's why you'd be perfect for that job.
I guess.
It's either going to be Consuelos or Andy Cohen.
I think Andy
Cooper.
Cohen's a strong. No, because Anderson Cooper's got his own show now.
So does Andy Cohen, but listen, and Mark.
No, but Anderson Cooper's got his own daily talk show.
You're right.
Yeah.
If Andy Cohen does Regis and Kelly, I'm putting my hat in the ring. I must be the permanent host of Watch What Happens Live.
You'd be the best.
And hopefully I got something, I'm screen testing for something that shoots in New York. Took my own advice, Matt Cohen. I've been talking all this shit about how people can better themselves. Why go into an audition holding sides? And we explained, Katz and I were talking about David Mamet and his book True and False. When you go into an audition, they know they don't want you. They know who they want, and they're waiting for that person to pop out and become available. You're an impediment.
Right.
You have to do such a job in your audition that you cause a fucking problem. Like Owen Wilson had the offer to play Bob Sugar. We covered it a couple weeks ago, but I'll bring you up to speed. Right. And I went in and apparently hit Bob Sugar so squarely on the screws that they had to rescind his offer. It caused a problem. So I was told by my agent, this guy's not, he just doesn't see you as this person. And I went, okay. And I was in my mind, this might be addict behavior too. In my mind, I went, well then fuck it. Why even go in? This is fucking stupid. Yeah. Like if the guy doesn't like me, he doesn't like me. As opposed to the old G me would have been like, fuck him. Let's do this shit. And then my agent said, simple phrase. I need you to go in there and fucking hit it out of the park right in his face. And I went, yeah, let's fucking do it. And I went in without the sides. I went in as the guy. And they said to me, I'll make up a name. Brian would be the character's name because I don't want to give anything out because it's really great. I would hate to fuck it up. The guy goes, the creator of the show goes, do you have sides? And I go, Brian wouldn't walk anywhere with sides, man. Because he's like a real cocky guy. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, like we're fucking cooking now, man. Let's take it up a notch.
Look at you.
So we'll see how that goes. But maybe, we'll know by the time this airs. And we'll put in an addendum.
Godspeed,
you,
Jay Mohr.
Thank you. I hope you can not only continue to do Loveline, but Mike Catherwood